All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me on the stage again. So what I want to do today is give a quick introduction around what we talked about yesterday, and then give a preview of what we're building. I think it's going to answer a lot of questions that came up yesterday, as well as probably preempt some of the questions that are going to come up today. So at a high level, what Blink AI is trying to do is make it possible for anyone to build Web3 experiences within our benchmark is less than a minute. Typically, these are fungible, non-fungible token use cases. We want to make it super easy for anyone, regardless of environment, to be able to deploy that. Yesterday, we saw a video of where we could essentially deploy a token in less than a minute. Everything will be intent-based, and the idea is that generative AI is putting the rest of the solution together. So when it comes to setting up your own bonding curve to set up your liquidity, and then if you wanted to go to a DEX, you could either go straight to a DEX, set up your own bonding curve and the parameters for that as well. So that's a token use case that's going to be ready in the next week or so for 6 EVM environments and then Solana virtual machine. And after that, we're going to be releasing the NFT, the capability to generate NFTs within less than a minute as well. And then post that, it's going to be the prediction markets. So this is a quick demo of what we showed yesterday. Is we have what's called as a turbo mode. So this is for someone, and the vast majority of the people that wanted to use it, they wanted to go to a turbo mode and build something in less than 60 seconds. Here we customize a journey for different personas. This is for someone who wants to quickly deploy something. And then if you did not want to actually click on that, you can voice prompt as well. We support like 29 languages through 11 labs. This is what the product looked like. This is the demo we saw yesterday. This is just depending on what type of vibe you want for your token. It can create a landing page, hook it up with a bonding curve, with a smart contract. The difference here is all of this is being built by generative AI, and you actually get the smart contract. This is yours to own. It's not something that we hold the funds for. It's deployed on any of the chains that you pick and choose. You can change your mind and go back and build this as well. You also get a chat window there to bring your community over, discuss with them, say your GMs and everything else, like certain tokens there, and shortlist them as well. This is the bonding curve that we showed yesterday as well. So this is where you actually design your own bonding curve, so the AI will actually guide you through it. So you can set up what market cap you want the token to come in at, and at what point you want to go to a DEX or keep it there, and what type of bonding curve you want, the aggressiveness of the slope of the bonding curve as well. That was for the turbo mode. This is the more advanced mode that we didn't do yesterday. I have a short demo of this, which will explain how this would work. And this was I know there were some other questions around how generative AI is actually building this. So this is essentially what it looks like when you go into this mode. You'll see generative AI actually build the code, and then you'll see the attribution score as well. So this is something that a second model is checking, and it's actually trained on audited smart contracts. And it can actually attribute where the code is coming from, and then essentially explain the code as well. So this is for developers or advanced users who actually want to use it to build more advanced applications. This is at the product architecture. Right now, what we do is all the code that's generated by the AI is compiled. So any code that's coming out, it's going to work. We are also showing what's the code that's added by the generative AI versus what's actually coming from audited smart contracts. And you have the option to push the code to a GitHub repo as well from there. What you don't see here are 2 additional elements that we're working on. One is open source LLM model that I mentioned yesterday. Typically, that's going to be a Claude model, which is trained on audited smart contracts. We use that to show you attribution. And then the second model is the one that's going to be trained on vulnerabilities, which can actually check the code and see where it's not working. So both of these models are actually checking the code generated by the core model, which currently is the Claude, which is the AI code generator. In the future, we're going to swap it out with a Strawberry model, which actually has like reasoning and which can understand context as well. So the idea is you will have like a model that's trained and can actually do PhD level thinking, building the code. A second model, which may not have context awareness, but we've done what's called a CPT, continuous pre-training, that actually checks the code and then can find out vulnerabilities, and then all of that gets compiled. So anytime you're building an advanced application, it'll only take you down the path where the code will compile, or it'll push you back to a point where your code actually will compile and it's going to work. So the idea is it'll almost work like a ADAS system or a lane keep assist. With 3 models, there's typically a closed-weight smart model that's building the smart contracts. There's an open-weight model that we've trained on audited smart contracts, and another one on vulnerabilities. And between the 3 of them, they're actually keeping the car on track. It's almost like a team of developers working together to build some of the more advanced apps. This is a roadmap. We are going to have the turbo mode live in Q3, along with the voice to prompt as well. Next year, early next year, we'll have DeFi as well as NFTs. And then,
thank you. That's the end of the pitch. So we've got questions coming up. Judges?
We're super excited about what you're building. Thank you for pitching again. I think one of the things that got us excited about Blink was kind of the ability to do kind of Shopify pages for whatever you like. I think one of the concerns of the judges is around the code safety. Obviously, AI, we're all excited about it, but it's not perfect yet, and we'll inevitably probably write some flaws in the code. How do you plan to work with potential buggy code?
Exactly. So that's where the three model thing comes into play. So far what we are doing is we are compiling the codes, all the error that comes through the main code generator, we compile it. But Strawberry, the models that came out last week, is going to change that because it actually has self-awareness and it can correct itself. The second model that we're actually building for the attribution, that can actually feed audited code back into the context window of the main model. So next year we should see million token context window, so it can actually feed things back in there and course correct. And the third model, which we'll do continuous pre-training on security vulnerabilities, or if there's new security vulnerabilities, we can put that into the third open model as well, an open weight model, typically a llama model. Between that, any vulnerabilities that model is detecting, again, you can push that back into the main model, which is generating code. So on the main, custom bespoke mode that you saw, there's actually suggestions, and it'll tell you what are the paths typically other people have gone down. So when you're building more complex applications, it can guide you through a path because the model is actually aware of what's been built before. And if it's going in the wrong direction, the other model, which is on the security vulnerability side, which is trained on that and continuously getting trained, that can actually push you back. It can push the main model back and point out the vulnerabilities. With the existing models, you actually couldn't do anything other than send it back. But the self-aware models, the ones that have reasoning capabilities, can actually fix it. And if it cannot fix it, we'll just roll it back to a point where you know that the code is safe and deployable. And like I mentioned, all of this code is compiled, so you know it actually works.
Yeah, and is the plan always to stick to the kind of no-code deployment of tokens, DeFi primitives, and this kind of stuff, or to move more to a co-pilot model later on?
Yeah, so we're looking at, essentially, we want to get soup to nuts, right? So as far as at least for the NFTs and everything else, it's mostly we can build the front-end pages like we showed yesterday and plug in all the rest of the elements. I think in the future, 3 to 4 years from now, you won't need front ends. AI, most of the stuff is going to happen with AI agents anyways. They're going to interact directly with the smart contracts. So most of the focus could be just on building the best smart contracts, and 95% of the work is going to be done by AI agents anyways. So it's a direction that the SaaS model is going in. SaaS typically, the UX isn't great, but it doesn't matter because anyway it's used by large corporations. It's not a consumer app. But AI is literally eating SaaS away because you don't need a nice UI or UX to actually work with a SaaS model. It can, AI agents can do that. So it's going to be, we believe it's going to be the same with, the Web3 space as well. As long as you're building smart contracts, we're now plugging in the front-end capabilities. But if you're getting great smart contracts, that's kind of the heart of this. And then most of the rest of the stuff, lending, borrowing, investing is all going to be done by agents.
In the future, do you think, like let's say a project didn't use you guys out the gate, but wants to launch some kind of module or some sort of tangential thing?
Yeah.
Do you see a world where your technology can actually ingest what they've already built, understand it, and be able to integrate additional code and specific contracts?
Yeah, so we look at it in two ways. One is obviously the context awareness, where you can bring that in. So the larger context windows, the million-plus context windows will help you do that, but someone can actually build it. The other thing that we're going to do is, yesterday we showed you the marketplace, where people actually build stuff. So we want to actually have a marketplace where people are building cool stuff, and you can actually piggyback off of that, right? And similar to a Shopify model or something else, it could be revenue sharing, all baked in a smart contract, that the creator, you don't need to start from scratch. You already built something, and then you essentially take that and build other things with it. So that's the way we look at it, and essentially a lot of the frontier models are going to solve it. The context windows are going to get so large that you don't need to do a lot of pre-training. So even if you have a closed weight model, you can take the two open weight model, like I said, train them on specific things, and the closed weight model, you can essentially train it to do the things that you want it to do, and it can import context from existing templates, or someone can bring cool stuff that they see open source if the models already don't know that, and then build on top of that.
We're out of time. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you.